Hey, Bossmum. Welcome back to Life of a Bossmum, the podcast for the woman who is learning that she doesn't have to choose between the life she wants and the God she loves. I'm so glad you're here. Today we're talking about something almost every woman has struggled with at some point, and that's comparison. Now let me paint a picture. It's 11 o'clock at night. You should be asleep. You've had a long day. There are still things on your to-do list. The children need you, and tomorrow is another full day. But you're scrolling, and then you see her. Her business is doing amazingly well. Her house is beautiful. Her children look happy. She looks amazing. Her husband has posted something sweet about her. She's traveling, especially this season. She's probably gone on vacation. The whole family, everything seems to be working, and suddenly something shifts inside you. You were fine 5 minutes ago, but now you're thinking, why not me? What am I doing wrong? When will my turn come? Maybe I'm not doing enough. And just like that, 30 seconds of scrolling have turned a perfectly good day into evidence of everything you haven't achieved. Boss mom, welcome to the comparison trap. Now, Galatians 6:4 says, each one should test their own actions. Then they can take pride in themselves alone without comparing themselves to someone else. We always have scripture anchor for all our podcasts. So this is our scripture anchor, Galatians 6 verse 4. Now, comparison isn't just uncomfortable. It isn't just something that makes you feel bad. It is unwise. Why? Because you're using the wrong ruler. You're trying to measure your life using somebody else's assignment, and you will always come up feeling inadequate. Now, here's what comparison does: it steals your present. You can be living in a season that you once prayed for, and comparison will convince you that it isn't enough. You prayed for the business, now you have one, but hers is bigger. You prayed for a family, now you have one, but hers look happier online. You prayed for the house, now you have one, but hers is bigger. You prayed for clients, now you're getting them, but she has hundreds. And suddenly the blessing God gave you becomes invisible because you're staring at someone else's blessing. That's one of the most dangerous things about comparison. It can make you ungrateful for your own life. And social media has made this so much easier because we're comparing our behind the scenes to somebody else's highlight reel. We're seeing the launch, but not the years of preparation. We're seeing the beautiful family picture, but not the argument before the picture. We're seeing the promotion, but not the rejection that came before it, or the rejections that came before it. We're seeing the confident woman, but not the nights she cried because she didn't know what she was doing. Nobody posts the 3 a.m. breakdown. There's nobody posting every failed proposal. You don't see anybody posting the moments, when they wanted to quit. Nobody is posting every financial struggle. And so we look at somebody else's edited life and compare it with our completely unedited one. Of course, we feel behind. But I want you to understand something else. Comparison doesn't only happen online. It happens at church. It happens at family gatherings. It happens at work. It happens when you're talking to another mom. It happens when somebody asks, so, what are you doing these days? And suddenly, you're calculating your worth based on how impressive your answer sounds. Maybe someone you started with is further ahead. Maybe someone younger than you is achieving something you've been praying about for years. Maybe your friend just bought a house. Maybe somebody else launched the business you've been talking about for years. And you start thinking, maybe I've wasted my time. But boss mom, listen to me. You are not behind because somebody else is ahead. Their progress is not proof of your failure. Their blessing is not evidence that God has forgotten you. And their timeline is not your deadline. Imagine two women running in a race. One keeps turning around to see what the other is doing. How far ahead is she? Why is she faster? Why isn't my race looking like hers? eventually she loses focus on her own race. And that's exactly what comparison does. You cannot run your race while constantly watching somebody else's. God didn't ask you to run her race. He gave you yours. Your experiences are different. Your gifts are different. Your responsibilities are different. Your opportunities are different. Your assignment is different. And yes, your timeline is different. So perhaps the question isn't, why am I not where she is? Perhaps the better question is, what is God asking me to do with what He has placed in my hands right now? That's a very different question. And this is where comparison becomes a faith issue. Because sometimes when we're looking at somebody else's life and thinking, God, why not me? What we're really saying is, God, I don't trust what you're doing with my life. But God isn't confused about you. I'm sure you know that. He hasn't forgotten you. He isn't running out of blessings. And He isn't looking at another woman and saying, well, I gave her everything, so there's nothing left for you. No. God's plan for her does not diminish His plan for you. Her success doesn't cancel your assignment. Her beauty doesn't diminish yours. Her business doesn't make yours irrelevant. Her testimony doesn't mean you won't have yours. There's room for you too. So I want to give you 3 things to do this week, right? Our practical application. Number 1, do a social media audit. Look at the accounts you follow. Ask yourself, how do I feel after consuming this person's content? Inspired, educated, encouraged? Or do I constantly feel small, anxious, behind, inadequate? If an account repeatedly makes you feel less than, you have permission to mute it. You don't have to hate the woman, okay? You don't have to announce your departure. Just protect your peace. Number 2, write down 5 things that are uniquely yours. 5 gifts, 5 strengths, 5 experiences, 5 things God has placed in your hands. Maybe you're a great communicator. Maybe you're an amazing mother. Maybe you've survived something that has given you compassion for other women. Maybe you're building something from nothing. Maybe you've learned lessons through failure that nobody could teach you in a classroom. Write them down. Because sometimes we're so busy looking at what somebody else has that we forget to appreciate what God has already given us. Number 3, replace comparison with celebration. The next time you see another woman winning, instead of immediately saying, why isn't that me? Try saying, Lord, thank you for what you're doing in my life. And thank you that her success does not cancel my assignment. Then say to yourself, God's plan for her doesn't diminish His plan for me. Say it again to yourself, God's plan for her doesn't diminish His plan for me. Her yes isn't your no. Her blessing isn't your rejection. Her timeline isn't your deadline. Please note, her timeline isn't your deadline. And here's your reflection question for this week. I want you to sit quietly with this. What would I be building right now if I wasn't looking sideways? Think about it. What would you start? What would you finish? What would you stop worrying about? What dream would you finally give yourself permission to pursue? Because sometimes, Bossmum, the thing standing between us and our next step isn't lack of ability, it's distraction. We're spending so much energy watching everybody else's journey that we don't have enough energy left to build our own. So come back to your lane, come back to your assignment, come back to your God. Bossmum, comparison will always be available to you. There will always be someone ahead of you in one area, somebody behind you in another, someone doing, something differently. But you don't have to live looking sideways. You can choose to look forward. You can choose gratitude. You can choose your own lane. And you can trust that the God who is writing her story is also writing yours. So this week, remember this. Stay in your lane. Your lane has your assignment. Your lane has your grace. Your lane has your lessons. Your lane has your people. Your lane has your purpose. And your lane has your God. You don't need her lane. You need yours. If this episode spoke to you, share it with a woman who needs to get her eyes back on her journey. Subscribe to Life of a Bossmum so we can continue these conversations about faith, self-care, purpose, health, money, mindset, and becoming the woman God created us to be. And come find me on Instagram. Tell me, what are you choosing to celebrate about your own journey this week? Until next time, beautiful Bossmum, stop looking sideways. Lift your eyes, trust God, run your race, and keep rising. I love you. See you next week.